200 million years ago, our planet was a scarred canvas, slowly recovering from the most catastrophic event in its history, the Permian-Triassic extinction. This cataclysmic disaster, often dubbed the Great Dying, had obliterated approximately 90% of all life on Earth. Vast oceans became barren and terrestrial. Ecosystems crumbled under a relentless assault of volcanic eruptions, climate collapse, and widespread anoxia. Life clung precariously to existence, a fragile whisper against a backdrop of desolation, desperate to reclaim what was lost. For countless millennia, Earth was a world in convalescence, a testament to life's profound resilience. From the ashes of oblivion, new forms of life cautiously emerged, pushing through the environmental wreckage. Survivors, both large and small, began the arduous task of repopulating continents and seas, evolving to fill the countless ecological voids left by the Permian devastation. This era marked a crucial pivot point, setting the stage for a dramatic reshaping of global ecosystems and the slow genesis of a new biological hierarchy. This epoch unfolded during the early Jurassic Period, a time before the popular image of colossal dinosaurs dominated the landscape. The Earth's landmasses remained fused into the supercontinent Pangaea, an immense contiguous stretch of land dictating global weather patterns. This vast expanse created unique challenges, influencing everything from ocean currents to atmospheric circulation, resulting in a planet vastly different from the fragmented continents we recognize today. Geological forces were still very much at play, shaping mountains and vast plains. The early Mesozoic was not a stable, verdant paradise but a world defined by extremes. With Pangaea spanning from pole to pole, continental interiors experienced scorching deserts and severe aridity, while coastal regions endured powerful monsoon seasons and fluctuating sea levels. Temperatures swung wildly, presenting constant survival tests for the burgeoning flora and fauna. This harsh, unstable climate acted as a powerful evolutionary forge, favoring adaptability and resilience in the species that managed to thrive. In this challenging world, dinosaurs certainly existed, but they were far from the towering titans of later eras. They were generally small, lightly built, and occupied the ecological fringes, often overshadowed by larger, more dominant reptiles. Their lives were dictated by a constant struggle for survival, living in the literal and figurative shadows of other creatures. Early dinosaurs moved cautiously through the primordial forests and plains, perpetually aware of the formidable predators lurking nearby. Their fragility was a defining characteristic. They were not yet the rulers, nor even significant contenders for apex predator status. Many early dinosaur species were about the size of a human, or even smaller, making them vulnerable targets in a landscape dominated by formidable archosaurs. Fear was a daily companion for these proto-dinosaurs, compelling them to remain hidden, to flee, and to develop the stealth and speed that would prove vital for their lineage's future ascendancy. Their very existence was a precarious one. The true masters of the early Mesozoic Earth were the archosaurs, a diverse group of reptiles that included the ancestors of both modern crocodiles and birds. These formidable creatures had successfully navigated the Permian extinction and diversified rapidly, seizing the ecological opportunities that followed. Archosaurs exhibited an incredible range of forms, from heavily armored herbivores to swift, bipedal carnivores, establishing themselves as the dominant terrestrial vertebrates across the supercontinent Pangaea, long before the age of giants like Tyrannosaurus or Brachiosaurus. These archosaurian relatives of crocodiles and birds held undisputed sway. They were the top predators, the largest herbivores, and the most widespread forms of life, dictating the flow of energy through ancient ecosystems. Their evolutionary success meant that dinosaurs were relegated to secondary roles, forced to compete fiercely for resources or simply avoid confrontation with these formidable, well-established rulers of the land. Among the most terrifying of these archosaurian overlords was Postosuchus, a name that struck fear into the hearts of its contemporaries. This apex killer stood taller than most dinosaurs of its time, a true bipedal terror that stalked the Triassic landscape. Its powerful hind legs propelled it with incredible speed, allowing it to cover vast distances in pursuit of prey. Postosuchus was an embodiment of raw power and predatory efficiency, a master hunter of its era. With its massive skull, serrated teeth, and an aggressive disposition, Postosuchus was virtually unstoppable in its domain. Its skeletal structure suggests immense muscularity, enabling it to overpower even large prey. It was the top of the food chain, a dominant predator whose very presence influenced the behavior and distribution of other animals, including the timid, early dinosaurs. Postosuchus truly represented the unchallenged reign of archosaurs before the dinosaurian dawn. Unlike the semi-aquatic ambush predators we know today, many early crocodile relatives were entirely terrestrial. These were not sluggish swamp dwellers but agile, often bipedal or quadrupedal hunters that roamed dry land with remarkable speed and efficiency. Their bodies were built for chasing down prey across diverse terrains, a stark contrast to their modern descendants who spend much of their lives submerged. These land-dwelling crocodilians were a formidable part of the predatory guild. These walking crocodiles were formidable predators, equipped with powerful jaws and sharp teeth, perfectly adapted for a carnivorous diet. They inhabited a variety of ecosystems, from arid plains to forested valleys, demonstrating a versatility that allowed them to thrive. Their ability to pursue and overpower prey on open ground made them highly successful hunters, a constant threat to any smaller creature, including the earliest and most vulnerable dinosaurs, who were often on their menu. Even more massive were the Rauisuchians, a group of imposing archosaurs that dominated ecosystems across the globe. These were truly the lords of the land, colossal predators that could reach lengths of up to 25 feet, resembling armored, crocodile-like tanks. Their sheer size and immense power placed them at the very pinnacle of the food chain, with no contemporary able to challenge their supremacy in a direct confrontation. Their reign was absolute and widespread. With their massive, bone-crushing jaws and dagger-like teeth, Rauisuchians were capable of delivering devastating bites, dispatching even large prey with brutal efficiency. Their presence shaped all life around them, forcing herbivores to evolve defenses and smaller predators to adapt to their territorial dominance. These creatures were a clear and present danger to anything that crossed their path, embodying the raw, untamed power of the Mesozoic before the dinosaurs' eventual ascendance. They were undisputed masters. For the first millions of years of their existence, dinosaurs were often the hunted, not the hunters. Early species like Coelophysis, a slender, agile bipedal dinosaur, exemplified this vulnerable status. While capable of speed, Coelophysis was relatively small, making it a viable target for a multitude of larger, more heavily armed archosaurian predators. Its life was a continuous dance of evasion, a constant vigilance against superior foes lurking in the ancient landscapes. Survival for these early dinosaurs depended almost entirely on speed, agility, and the ability to find effective hiding places. Strength was not their advantage, cunning and swiftness were their best defenses. They likely moved in groups for safety, relying on collective awareness to spot threats and the ability to quickly disperse. Their status as prey forced them to evolve crucial traits that would, ironically, later become instrumental in their rise to global dominance. When the sun dipped below the horizon, bringing cool relief to the ancient Earth, a different set of creatures emerged to claim the night. Small, mammal-like reptiles, known as cynodonts, crept through the darkness. These resourceful, often burrowing animals had adapted to a nocturnal existence, scavenging for food and evading the larger diurnal predators. While dinosaurs sought shelter and rested, these inconspicuous beings quietly thrived, feeding and continuing their own evolutionary journey. The nighttime hours offered a crucial ecological niche where early mammals could develop and adapt, largely unmolested by the dominant archosaurs and early dinosaurs who primarily hunted during the day. This temporal segregation allowed them to develop traits like enhanced senses of smell and hearing, efficient thermoregulation, and specialized feeding habits. The darkness truly belonged to these resilient, often furry, creatures, showcasing another facet of the divided and diverse Mesozoic world. The predatory landscape of the Mesozoic was a highly divided world, with different archosaur groups dominating specific regions and ecosystems. Some powerful predators, like the terrestrial crocodilians, thrived in the arid, sprawling deserts, masters of dry, sun-baked environments where few others could survive. Their adaptations allowed them to exploit the scarce resources and harsh conditions, carving out formidable territories in desolate landscapes. Conversely, other archosaur species commanded the lush, dense forests and expansive floodplains, utilizing the abundant vegetation and water sources to their advantage. This regional specialization meant that no single group held absolute dominion over all habitats, but rather a mosaic of formidable creatures shared control. This ecological partitioning highlighted the incredible diversity and adaptability of the archosaurs before the dinosaurs' unified ascent across all biomes. Above the land, a new frontier was slowly opening up. The first true flying reptiles, the pterosaurs, began to appear in the skies. These magnificent creatures, with their leathery wings and often elaborate crests, were the pioneers of vertebrate flight, conquering an entirely new dimension of the ancient world. Their evolution marked a pivotal moment, ushering in an era where the vast expanse of the atmosphere would become another arena for life's struggle and triumph. The air, once an empty canvas traversed only by insects, transformed into a dynamic battlefield for survival. Pterosaurs quickly diversified, filling various aerial niches, from fish-eaters skimming over ancient seas to insectivores snatching prey mid-flight. Their presence added another layer of complexity to the Mesozoic food web, creating new predatory opportunities and forcing terrestrial creatures to adapt to threats from above. The sky had truly become a new frontier. While archosaurs controlled the land and pterosaurs began to rule the skies, the oceans remained firmly under the dominion of other powerful reptiles. Ichthyosaurs, sleek and dolphin-like marine predators, propelled themselves through ancient seas with incredible speed, perfectly adapted to hunting fish and cephalopods. Their streamlined bodies and powerful tails made them efficient aquatic hunters, establishing themselves as the apex predators of the marine realm. Alongside ichthyosaurs, the long-necked plesiosaurs glided gracefully through the depths, using their four powerful flippers to maneuver through the water. These formidable creatures, with their serpentine necks and stout bodies, were also formidable hunters, preying on a variety of marine life. In these vast aquatic domains, dinosaurs held no power whatsoever. The seas were an entirely separate kingdom, ruled by a different lineage of highly specialized reptiles. Despite their initial vulnerability, dinosaurs possessed inherent advantages that would prove crucial for their long-term survival and eventual dominance. Their ability to evolve and adapt rapidly in response to environmental pressures was a hidden strength. Over millions of years, subtle changes accumulated, granting them an edge over their established rivals, allowing them to weather climate shifts and competition that challenged other groups. This adaptive capacity was their true secret weapon. Key adaptations began to emerge within various dinosaur lineages. Their legs grew longer and more efficient, allowing for greater speed and sustained endurance. Their metabolism became more sophisticated, providing the energy for active, dynamic lifestyles. Importantly, their bones began to develop pneumatic cavities, making them lighter yet incredibly strong, a structural innovation that would support their eventual growth into colossal forms. These incremental changes were foundational to their future success. Crucially, dinosaurs held a hidden advantage in their skeletal structure. Their legs were positioned directly beneath their bodies, unlike the sprawling, splayed gait of most archosaurs and early reptiles. This upright posture, known as parasagittal limb orientation, was a profound evolutionary innovation. It allowed for more efficient respiration during movement, reduced stress on their internal organs, and provided a far greater range of motion for sustained locomotion. This distinct anatomical feature granted dinosaurs superior endurance and speed compared to their archosaurian rivals. While a sprawling gait required more energy to move and limited sustained activity, the upright posture of dinosaurs allowed them to run faster for longer periods and to support significantly greater body mass. This seemingly minor difference provided a massive biomechanical advantage in hunting, escaping, and navigating the often challenging terrains of the Mesozoic world. As millions of years passed, environmental conditions on Earth began to shift once more, slowly eroding the dominance of the old kings. Prolonged climate shifts, including periods of intense aridity and fluctuating temperatures, began to stress the established archosaur populations. Furthermore, renewed periods of intense volcanic activity pumped massive amounts of gases and dust into the atmosphere, leading to further climate instability and widespread ecological disruption. These environmental pressures began to weaken the mighty archosaur giants, making them vulnerable to disease, resource scarcity, and reproductive challenges. Their specialized adaptations, once strengths, sometimes became liabilities in a rapidly changing world. This slow, relentless attrition chipped away at the ongoing environmental chaos, and the weakening of dominant archosaur populations created unprecedented opportunities. Widespread extinction events, though devastating, also cleared ecological niches, opening up vast territories and resources that were once controlled by the established rulers. As various dominant predators and herbivores vanished or saw their numbers dwindle, a window of opportunity slowly opened for other, more adaptable species to step forward. It was in this chaotic crucible of change that dinosaurs, with their newfound adaptations, their upright stance, efficient metabolism, and lighter bones, were perfectly poised to capitalize. They were the right creatures in the right place at the right time. As the old order faltered and collapsed, dinosaurs, once relegated to the shadows, found themselves presented with an empty stage, ready for their grand performance, their moment to seize control. By the late Jurassic period, millions of years after their humble beginnings, the slow and arduous rise of dinosaurs was well underway. No longer small, fragile, or rare, they had evolved dramatically. Gigantic sauropods, with their incredibly long necks and tails, grazed on vast plains, while swift, powerful theropods, like Allosaurus, emerged as formidable apex predators, growing larger, faster, and deadlier with each passing epoch. Their ascendancy was undeniable. Their increasing size and predatory effectiveness marked a significant shift in the Mesozoic hierarchy. Dinosaurs were now not just surviving. They were thriving and diversifying at an astonishing rate. They were actively outcompeting other reptile groups, filling the largest and most dominant ecological roles across Pangaea. The era of their unquestioned reign, which would last for over 100 million years, had truly begun, transforming the face of the Earth. The balance of power on Earth shifted fundamentally. The very creatures that were once hunted by archosaurs now grew to magnificent sizes, becoming the hunters themselves, imposing their will on the land. Herbivorous dinosaurs, armed with defensive plating or massive bulk, were formidable targets, while carnivorous dinosaurs refined their hunting strategies, evolving into terrifyingly efficient killing machines. The dynamic of predator and prey had been irrevocably reversed. This changing hierarchy was not merely a matter of one group replacing another, it was a complete restructuring of the terrestrial food web. Dinosaurs occupied virtually every large animal niche, from the smallest insectivores to the largest herbivores and predators. Their diverse forms and widespread distribution underscored their complete ecological takeover, demonstrating a level of evolutionary success rarely seen in Earth's history. They were now in charge. For millions of years, this transition was a slow burn, a gradual accumulation of evolutionary advantages and environmental opportunities. Dinosaurs waited, adapted, and evolved, steadily building the foundation for their eventual global supremacy. Their rise was not a sudden burst, but a deliberate, inexorable march towards the crown, a testament to the power of natural selection working over vast geological timescales. Their patience and resilience would be amply rewarded. By the end of the Jurassic, and certainly into the Cretaceous, the question was no longer if dinosaurs would rule, but how completely. Their dominance was inevitable, etched into the fossil record across every continent. They had overcome tremendous odds, outlasted formidable rivals, and adapted to a dynamic planet. The stage was set for their golden age, a reign that would last until another cataclysmic event brought their era to a dramatic close. 200 million years ago, dinosaurs were simply not the kings of the Earth. They were small, vulnerable, and lived in constant peril, overshadowed by their archosaurian relatives. This humble beginning contrasts sharply with the popular image of their later supremacy. Their story is a powerful reminder that dominance is not inherited, but earned through a relentless, arduous process of evolution and adaptation against a challenging world. They earned their crown through sheer survival, through countless generations of endurance against superior foes, and through the slow, relentless march of geological time. Their journey from marginalized creatures to the undisputed rulers of the planet for over 160 million years is one of Earth's most compelling sagas. It's a story of resilience, innovation, and the ultimate triumph of life in the face of immense adversity.